This chart tracks inbound UK visits across 4 financial quarters, comparing France and North America for holidays and business. The y-axis scales to 3.5 million. Plotting all variables reveals holiday travel accounts for a much higher volume than business travel all year. Looking closer at the holiday data, North American visits follow an aggressive seasonal pattern, defined by sharp increases and decreases. In contrast, French holiday travel moves along a much more gradual curve, avoiding extreme quarterly shifts. In the lower volume category of business travel, North America leads France in every quarter, though the numbers for both regions are much lower than those of holidaymakers. While geographic origin influences the shape of these curves, UK inbound tourism volume is largely defined by the purpose of the trip itself. Analyzing this dataset requires separating 2 behavioral models operating on different scales. The holiday model reaches a high ceiling, driven by a substantial summer surge. The business model, however, operates at a much lower intensity, staying within a narrow band near the graph's bottom. This raw scale differential highlights the impact of the seasonal holiday boom compared to the steady baseline of corporate travel. We will first deconstruct the high-volume holiday data to see how specific regional demographics contribute to these fluctuations. By mapping the more moderate curve first, we establish a baseline against which the more extreme data can be measured. This reveals how these demographics contribute in entirely different ways to the UK's seasonal tourism spikes. We'll start by isolating the holiday figures to trace their quarterly progression. Visits from France begin the year at just under 1 million between January and March. This figure climbs gradually through the second quarter, reaching approximately 1.3 million by June. The trajectory peaks in the third quarter, July to September, at roughly 1.5 million visits. This summer peak is moderate. The data shows a steady increase rather than a sudden spike. In the final quarter, the number of visits falls back to approximately 1 million. The start and end of the year are nearly symmetrical, as the market returns to its first quarter baseline. Across the entire year, the seasonal variance for French holiday travel is limited to about 500,000 visitors. This establishes the French holiday behavior as a reliable and moderate curve that provides a stable seasonal increase. The North American holiday demographic begins at a lower volume, with only 0.6 million visits in the first quarter. However, a major surge occurs in the second quarter, with the figure rising to roughly 2.5 million. It is during this period that North American visits overtake the French figure for the first time. The growth continues into the third quarter, hitting a peak of approximately 3 million visitors. At this peak, the volume of North American holiday travel is double that of the French demographic. This lead does not last. In the final quarter, North American visits drop sharply to just over 1 million. By the end of December, the volume from both regions has converged at nearly identical levels. This suggests that the significant summer peak in total UK tourism is driven largely by the volatility of the North American market. To examine the lower magnitude business travel data, we need to rescale the y-axis to a maximum of 0.5 million. North American business visits start at 0.15 million in the first quarter and double to 0.3 million by the second. There is a mid-year decline during the summer months, as figures fall to roughly 0.2 million. The year ends with a recovery, as the number of visitors returns to the 0.3 million mark. North American business travel follows a consistent pattern, marked by these minor seasonal shifts. French business travel starts at only 0.05 million, the lowest point in the dataset, before increasing to 0.2 million in the second quarter. Like the North American data, French business visits see a summer drop, falling to 0.1 million. Both regions exhibit this distinct summer dip in business travel, which occurs at the same time the holiday market is peaking. The figures rise again to nearly 0.2 million, before finishing the year at approximately 0.15 million. While French business travel follows the same quarterly trends as North American travel, it remains the lowest volume demographic throughout the year. Recombining these lines allows us to see how the micro and macro trends interact across the full year. The third quarter represents the most significant period for inbound travel, driven by the holiday sector. This spike is the result of high seasonal demand, particularly within the North American holiday demographic. Contrast that surge with the lower portion of the graph, where business travel remains comparatively stable. Across every demographic and every quarter, business travel volume stays below the 0.4 million mark. Ultimately, North American figures lead in both categories, accounting for the highest seasonal fluctuations in holiday travel while maintaining a higher baseline for corporate visits. This video is brought to you by the IELTS FOCUS 084-770-5973, an English center specializing in IELTS preparation.